Yeah, I got the win, but it took, I see up to the fourth quarter,
I was like, man, I can't believe that they,
cough that up.
yeah. I mean,
They certainly have kind of a history of doing that. Because they showed I saw some graphic somewhere of like 6 different times. Ooh.
We're limited how loud we can turn it up and down here, because the microphones don't pick up feedback.
Some trailing for them, ain't
I'm
it?
turning it over to you.
Stuff out there off.
Hello and welcome to the Shippensburg Area School District Committee of the Whole, and I will turn it over to Mr. August.
Thank you, Mrs. Eberly. We have several topics to cover. First up is the Transportation Committee item. The long-awaited RFP is ready to go. We have some formatting issues on it that we'll be exploring, and Mr. Bybee's here to kind of give us I would say 30,000, but it's more like 60,000 foot view of it. It's a very long document, but I wanted to kind of highlight the timeline for this, and the rationales and some other information that the board might find helpful. So, as we discussed, Mr. Bybee, take it away.
Good evening, everybody.
Evening.
So Mr. August was pointing out with the RFP and what we have coming up. I want to kind of quickly summarize what the RFP is and go back over and answer any questions. The RFP is a broad document that we send out for a request to have contractors who are interested in coming into the district, or our contractors we currently have, to present pricing, options, things that they may be able to give us to put us in a good standpoint in what we need as a district. The document is roughly 35 pages. It outlines requirements from drivers to contract needs to what the district requires, how we see that we need to move forward and what's required for us to grow, and gives a blanket broad spectrum for contractors to be able to look at and then present to us what they could do for us as a service and bring to our district. The tentative time schedule that we have is releasing to I think we have to release to the media, out to Chronicle, I believe that's the one, that it needs to sit out for at least, I think, 2 cycles, which ends up being about 4 weeks. So that puts us, if we release this month, we would be a potential review of proposals and receiving them back in October. And then that allows the board or committee, whoever is with us at that time, to conduct contract interviews. And then we've allowed roughly 2 to 3 months to do an overall review of the contracts that are presented, pricing, requirements, things that they can give us and present to us. That ends for final review roughly in December 8th, and then the board could potentially award a contract as early as the first board meeting in January. So that's the tentative timeline for what we have now. This document is 35 pages. There is a lot. I am here to try to answer questions to the best of my ability what's in here. But the RFP itself is, again, just a broad document. This is not the be-all contract or anything that goes when the contractor submits it in. This is our simple request to the contractors to give us their information. And then from that point, when we receive, the board can evaluate and go from that point to negotiate or talk payment methods, processes that we would like to see, that they would like to see, cost issues, kind of like GPS or camera systems, how we go to implement those, and how we set up our processes across the board to make sure that we can be efficient as possible. So with that kind of like broad explanation of this, is there any specific points as far as in the RFP that need covered or to go over or anything like that?
Financial parts for me. Have you checked other schools? Because I have. Have you checked other schools and see what I know about the cost of bidding, going out for bids? And because I know the schools in Harrisburg are having that problem with Roar. Mm-hmm. He bought out some of the companies.
Right.
Then they couldn't get drivers because he wanted to pay them lower than what they were. Now, could we be facing that problem here?
Well, we're always going to face that problem with an RFP. Nothing says that we have to choose a brand new contractor or stay with the old one or wipe everybody out. The pricing, though, is kind of apples to oranges and not necessarily apples to apples, because each district has a different method in which they process those costs or figure out those costs. That you could see districts that are doing a daily rate, which is a standard flat fee, or you could see districts that do state formula only with added incentive like 10% on top, showing that they're fully loaded when maybe a bus isn't, things of that nature. So that's more after you get the proposals, and if you agree on contractors, that you go into that negotiation part.
But if I'm a contractor, let's say Boyle now, you put it out for bid, and I know what the other people are going to bid, and I can bid lower than, but it's going to be more than what I'm making now. Wouldn't that be more advantageous to me?
Are you speaking from a contractor perspective or a district?
Because they're the ones hitting us with the bill.
Well, I understand that with the contract perspective, but that's the point of the RFP, is to add that competitive value to it, to where if the contractor decides that they can pay a lesser rate and give us more, and as the board you decide that that's what you want, then that's what we would move forward to. So I can't speak to like what the contractors would do, because that's based on their abilities.
I agree with that, but I'm just saying if I know there's bidders who people I'm bidding against, they're through their history are going to ask for more than I do. I can come up to almost where they are and still be lower.
Potentially, yeah.
So I'm going to make money on that rather than stay the same.
Correct, but even with our current situation, and it's a 1-year contract extension, we would still do negotiation processes now that you could still do the same thing. A contractor could still do the same thing.
Are we further ahead to just discuss the situation with the contractors we got instead of going out? Because I don't know, I'm thinking to myself, if we put this out for bid, you're liable to upset them and they just pull out completely. It could end up costing the district way more money.
So it was actually the recommendation of one of our partners that provides the board and the district guidance that we have not put the busing out for RFP for a long time, and we were on the brink of a possible violation due to not putting it out for RFP. So we're following the guidelines of the individuals that we pay to give us guidance to put this out for RFP based on the funding and the state formula. So we have to do it as a legal obligation.
But just to be clear, we're under no obligation to accept any of the bids
Correct.
that come through.
I understand that, but what I'm getting at is if, you're liable to upset the people we got now, and I got an email last week that saying our bus route went pretty smooth since the start of the year compared to other school districts.
Yeah.
Correct.
So my thought is, okay, we throw this out there for bid, and now I'm a busing company. Well, hey, they don't want me in here. I'm just pulling out, and now it's going to cost us way more money than what they are.
Potentially it could be, but it could also cost us the same amount of money if we just negotiate too. The RFP is strictly just to evaluate costs and see if a company, see if a company can provide us the services that we require, which I'm not saying these companies can't, they already do. And you're correct, we do run smooth. This is sheerly, we send out an RFP to see if there is associated costs that could come down to save the district money. And if it ends up where we don't like any of the contractors, then we stay with the ones we have, renegotiate, and work the best deal that we can.
If they're willing to do that.
True.
Didn't Mr. Deutsch from Big Spring, he went out of business. He was like a small contract like Boyo.
I don't actually know the circumstance of what happened there.
He was just like Boyle. He had the Big Spring School District.
Mm-hmm.
He retired.
Okay.
So they put out for bid, and it was the big boys. It wasn't the small boys, and it went up in cost quite a bit. That's one of my concerns, because they had 2 bidders. One dropped out, and they only had one. He was the only one they could take. The only one with bid was still in.
And correct, yeah. I know you and I discussed about Hanover.
Yeah.
Hanover went out for bid in the same time frame, and they ended up staying with their same contractor, but at a lower rate.
Are you sure about that?
From when I spoke with their transportation department, their business office, that's what they told me.
I have, okay, no, I'll go along. You can go by what, you can only go by what they tell you, so
Correct.
you understand.
Have we actually gotten Boyo in front of us to chat about how they think they could provide some savings and getting their opinions on things like that?
Yes, we've actually opened up their contract 2 or 3 times to negotiate those prices, which we've not done for any other vendor of ours.
Well, I was just wondering, what, like insurance limits, routings. I don't have any idea, but I was just wondering if we actually had Donnie Boyanowski come in and sit down in front of us and say, hey, is there anything we can do to save money? It was just a question.
Jeff, you said we had Boyle in. I was there when we arbitrated for the last couple contracts with him on that. How do you mean we had him in?
So they wanted to negotiate the price. One was regarding the fuel costs. We opened it up twice, actually. Levi, you were also there.
So part of that was when, and I absolutely could be wrong, but 2022, when gas prices went high, our contract, I think, only went to a certain amount. And then I think that we had to open that, and again, I could be wrong, but I think the district took on most of the cost in that. Like 100% could be wrong.
I think you're right, Levi, but I think part of that was the taxes.
Yeah, we lost tax money on that.
Is this, I mean, I am not, I understand all the concerns that are being raised, and I understand that there's a level of risk involved with this, but is this, I don't own a transportation company, so I bet, is it just kind of par for the course that every once in a while, you have to kind of go up for, that the districts are going to go up for bid and you're going to have to compete for their business every once in a while? Is this out of the ordinary for districts to be doing this?
No, it's not. It does. I can't say that it happens everywhere because I'm not sure on that, specific statistic. I'd have to try and contact a lot of them. But I do know that, excuse me, I do know that some districts will go out for the RFP based on a number of things, whether it be the amount of vehicles or routes that they have, personnel availability, all assortment of issues, or price being high. It's nothing out of the ordinary, and it's not necessarily, you're not really wrong for not doing it, but you're not wrong for doing it. The problem that we run into, though, is when you have special circumstances like federal funding, which Ms. Everly was speaking about. We have things of that nature that when we don't follow the process the correct way, that's where we kind of get in trouble for not doing the bid portion appropriately.
And this was brought to light during the ESSER spending and the funds that the district was getting. So RFPs are a normal process, even with some of the constructions that you've seen, with the district wanting to get several quotes on dishwashers. You want to make sure that you're being competitive and you're getting the right price. I mean, this is not a...
No, it's not a new thing, but in that point, every business, some business do bid out every 4 years, 5 years. I understand that. But my concern is it's a local business and we may end up paying more. What if we end up paying more? What happens then?
But like he said, we don't have to accept them. We're putting it out to see what the bids are coming in,
As
the
Jim's,
services they have to provide, some of the asks for the district regarding, do we want the GPS, the cameras, the microphones? So it's what can the other districts or other vendors provide? Are they going to pay for those? Is that going to be a shared cost? So it's pretty much dotting our i's and crossing our t's based on the feedback from the ESSER spending. We kind of got our hands slapped there, so we want to make sure that we're following through on the recommendation to ensure that we're following the processes.
And I would just point out that the timeline that we have here allows for us to, like if we don't like any of those things, it gives us enough cushion, even during that process to have conversations with our local providers, current providers, so that we aren't scrambling, towards the end of the school year again to get a deal.
And this thing you got here, this is what we want, right? There's no negotiation. I mean, there's negotiation, or this is what we don't know what we want. Or is this what we want?
The RFP it's a blanket document. It covers a wide range of things that we do want, things that are common within a contract, but it's not the guaranteed ending contract. It's things that we would look for in a district, or would like to have, or potentially make better, or even work with contractors on to give us the most efficient and best practice moving forward.
So we don't tell them what we want, like the insurance. We want $1 million, $2 million. Do we tell them?
Well, the insurance is in there. Some things I did have to be specific on, and
That's what I'm
the
saying.
insurance is one of them, and that is directly from our insurance provider that gives to the district. So
It makes sense. They know what know what they're bidding on. But some like fuel prices. Do we know how much we willing to pay?
see that would be an item for negotiation, because fuel doesn't, depending on the district and your needs, like if you have your own local tanks, you could charge a different price. If you do what we currently do with Boyo, they purchase through our program. There's other contracts that I've seen where the district does not provide fuel at all.
Yeah, they got their own tanks in that house.
Right. And the districts don't provide it, and then there's different agreements. So that one is one that would be a negotiation topic.
Yeah.
Have you talked to the 3 bus companies we had? Are they willing to put a bid in on this?
All 3 of them have said they would.
All 3 of them?
Like it is now, or different bids each one? Because I know one doesn't have enough people to do it. So is that like they're bidding on what they see in front of them now, or what we want?
Well, they're bidding on what we want, which is indicative of what we're doing currently. It's, so what they see and what they know, what they already understand, and then what we would need moving forward. What we'd need moving forward as a district to run efficiently in the way that we need.
But can any one of those companies operate it by itself?
No. So in the document we added, based on what the solicitor gave us, and information, that we reserve the right for the board to basically disseminate responsibility to either multiple contractors or one, whichever you would pick.
Makes sense.
So in other words, we could end up with a very similar thing to what we have now.
Correct.
As a result of the RFP. Okay.
Well, and we've talked, but when was the last time, does anyone know that we did go out for RFP?
I don't believe we sorry, I'm still getting over a cold. I don't believe we went out for an RFP when Macbeth transitioned to Boyo. I think that was just an arbitrator, and then they had an agreement that they worked through. I can't speak to when the last time an RFP was actually done.
Because I know this was prior to my time on the board, but I know that there was talk about going out to RFP 2018 or 2019, and I think things were getting set in motion to do all that, and then for whatever reason, it didn't happen. I look at it and say, my goodness, I get things in my mail all the time about shopping for electric. Just everything, like you're always looking for the best price, and I think this is just a practice that, if there's something better, then maybe there's something better. And if not, this year, to give shout out to Boyle, I think transportation has run very smoothly so far this year. So that's not to go unnoticed.
How often is legally, do we have to go out for an RFP? Is there a day, a year, or what? That was before I got on the board.
I don't know that there is a requirement in the statutes that we go out. When there's federal monies involved, they kind of play by their own rules a little bit.
So we don't have to go out for RFPs?
It's not required. We don't have to go out and we don't have to accept.
Okay, well, the reason I thought what I just heard was that we have to go out for RFPs.
It was the recommendation when we were getting the ESSER's money that we should have.
Should have gone out. Who made that recommendation?
The ESSER's auditors.
So in other words-
That was something that Christie had shared with the board, that was something that should have happened, which is why the board was kind of disappointed when we missed those deadlines, because we wanted to be sure that we were following those recommendations and guidelines and not to jeopardize any of those.
Okay, so, but if we didn't go out for send out RFPs, we wouldn't be in any trouble.
That's my understanding.
But we would potentially get dinged on an audit again.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
If you're using federal dollars to pay for,
Are we still using federal dollars?
not to my knowledge.
Okay.
The whole point of the RFP and the bid process is, I know working in the county for more than 3 decades, that was a requirement for us. Now, did the commissioners require it? I don't know, but we could not go more than 3, 4, or 5 years on a contract. You could get maybe an add-on year that's built into the contract, but you could not continue it indefinitely. And it's because we're dealing with public fundings. If it were a private entity, you can do kind of whatever you want, but when you're dealing with public funding, that's your way of accountability. You're expected to go out every 3, 4, 5 years and try to assure the public that you are getting the best competition you can, and there's no good old boy thing going on or anything else that, we like these people, we just keep them on continuously. Was it the best deal or not? Well, this is the way you find out if it is. So I'm pretty sure it's more than just recommendations, and if you check with the solicitor, I almost guarantee you he's going to tell you you better be doing
I mean,
bids
in
and
my opinion, it's just the
RFPs.
responsible thing to do. I mean,
It
again,
is.
it's not our money that we're spending, and we do want to be sure that we are getting.
That's why they're there, the rules.
I understand that, but I'm a little leery on the cost, and when it comes down to it, it's going to cost us more than what we think.
And it looks like we can review all of those in October, when all of those bids are coming in by, I think, 2 p.m.
Okay.
But I think both Fred and Jim's concerns are valid, right? There's some risk involved. We could do an RFP and we could end up that all of the proposals are more than what we're paying for now, and we could also tick off our current provider. That doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. It just means that we're aware that there are some risks, even though this is probably the right thing to do in terms of fiscal management of taxpayer dollars.
They're a good provider. They should be expecting this is going
Right.
to happen. That's the norm across the state in a public entity. Nobody gets a lock and says, I'm going to be here for 20 years. That doesn't
Macbeth was-
happen in a public entity.
Beth was here for a lot of years.
And other companies, but Deutsch and
But
dominate.
they could have re-won the bid regularly
I don't
because
think
they were the local. I don't know that. I didn't sit here then. But
No, I
They didn't bid.
So, Randy, just to reiterate, all 3 providers are willing to go through this process?
Correct.
Okay.
But at the present conditions, not under taking it by themselves. I'm gonna who's the other 2 companies?
You have Heckmeyer, Freeze, and Boyle.
Heckmeyer wanted to come in and do everything here in the borough,
No.
the school district.
No, I don't think they have the capability to
All right,
do.
well,
Now
and
they
neither-
could,
and neither- and
they
neither
can
does-
continue to help the way that they are.
Yeah, and the other company is, which I understand. So that only leaves a company big enough we only deal with companies big enough to come in here and do it all. Am I right?
You're asking if,
Like Roar, and another, Lincoln. They're other
but
big companies.
that's, I mean, you will have big companies that come in and potentially bid. Some may, some might not. It depends on, that company, which I can't really speak to, but it ultimately ends up with the board as far as decision-wise on what companies you want to keep in and how you want to.
I talked to some troopers. I know talked to some troopers or whatever, gone around doing bus checks, and that was they're seeing all the small bus companies going out of business, and the big three or four or buy or.
Well, and I do know some of the smaller companies like Gettysburg lost quite a few of theirs, but it wasn't because of a bigger company going in and buying them out. It was actually just retiring and not taking over their not running their business anymore, not wanting to, because a lot of these companies and drivers that most of you know, probably on a personal level, have been in this game for 30 plus years. And some of those companies that aren't willing to grow anymore or continue the way that they are, they are retiring and selling off their business.
Well, if the federal or the state or saying we got to do it, then we got to do it. We ain't got no say in it.
To be clear, I don't think they're saying that. If we're using federal monies, which we're currently not, Jim, we would have to. This would be considered perhaps a best practice to go out and get those things. But again, transportation, to my understanding, is pretty local and pretty unique within the structure of school business, and there's a lot of say that the board has in picking the provider through an RFP process. I think through Mike's example, those would probably be lowest bidder, and based on that, we're not under any onus to accept any of the proposals that come in. If we don't like them, then we talk to our providers, who apparently are coming through this process anyway. So it may be that we're overthinking a little bit. But I understand we don't want to tick them off, because I'll go on record saying I'm thrilled with how our bus is working in comparison to local districts. Kudos to Boyo, kudos to Heckmeyer, kudos to Breeze. We are not experiencing the same things that other districts are, and we want to keep it that way. But if there is, I think, a desire to do due diligence through a process which they are willing to be a part of. So, I think we can check the box of we've done an RFP, but then we talk with the people who are currently providing really great service for us. So,
Superintendent, you say doesn't the federal government help with special?
So we get about
It's federal grant money. So ESSERs were federal grant money. It's not just federal dollars. It has to be like grant money.
All right, so that doesn't affect.
Yeah, if there's another pandemic and they dump a bunch of monies into schools, and so we were using that money to I believe supplement transportations to get kids to different programs, like for remediation and things in the summer. So that's when that would click in, and they have a big long list of grant requirements. Grants come with a lot of handcuffs, typically. That time is over, and so the federal dollars that we get through title aren't really used for transportation.
So kids that need special transportation to special places, that doesn't federal government.
Nope, not through grants. So
I'm trying to figure what's the difference between a grant and it's all federal money, isn't it?
Well, Fred, I think you're right. The title money is specifically for titles 1 through 4 have specific targets. Mm-hmm. Transportation is rarely in them, and we mostly use those for salaries, Fred. So a lot of our title money is to supplement reading teachers and kindergarten teachers. So it doesn't have to do with busing. So we would just need to be careful. It would be a change for us to use that money. And because it's kind of all in one big pile, so to speak, like we could easily through accounting make sure we're not spending federal dollars on transportation, so that we would trigger these things that would go along with all the federal requirements.
Yeah, I understand. It just befuddled me that it's a mandate to make sure the kids that need that transportation in place, the federal government doesn't put any money towards it.
Like that burden is placed on the taxpayer. So I think when you're talking about like special transportation, like even like the McKinney-Vento, like the homeless students, like that burden is on the taxpayers.
Right.
Local.
That is a local.
It's an unfunded mandate.
So the federal government gives us unfunded mandates too, just like the state.
Oh, yeah. All the time. So, I think if we do this, we have sort of preemptively ticked a box in case in the future we were to require or have given to us some federal grant funding.
And it's really correct. And I think it is a more formal process. You know, it clarifies things that we want in the contract. You know, not specifically, but areas that need to be addressed. So it's all out there. And to my mind, it would actually help with negotiations. You know, because we kind of have the RFP to kind of cross-reference to say, you know, who was able to meet this best. And none of this stuff is like surprise stuff, right? I mean, it's like basic transportation issues that don't come as a surprise to any provider. That, you know, we're not asking for like Cadillacs and you know, air conditioning on every bus. Like this is like a standard thing. You want to talk about where you came up with this?
Yeah, the RFP document, I did pull from other districts looking at theirs, and majority of the information that is in here, as well as contracts when they're even negotiated, a lot of the information in there is a standard practice across every district. You'll see that in every district, almost the same verbiage. The only thing that would change are the specific requirements your district might have. And that's really it. That and the financial aspect of what your cost could look like, higher, lower, GPS, software systems, camera systems, things of that nature, fuel. Those are the stipulations that'll probably change or at least be negotiated. Most of the other things are standard across every district that you'd go into.
So Randy, what did we add things into this RFP that would actually increase costs to the busing company?
There was
GPS, cameras, card
no
systems?
GPS and cameras have been in the contracts that I've seen and we've had. There's no addition there.
This is an identical contract in liability levels.
Is the insurance different?
The insurance had to change, but that was based on what the district's insurance requires.
So we are forcing a higher interest rate or higher insurance policy on them.
From my understanding with what the insurance has suggested to us and told us, yes.
So it's a suggestion on what we
So
increase it?
yeah, the reason why it's so
There's minimums and then suggestions.
Well,
So
the
do we go with a
insurance-
minimum or a suggestion?
the insurance, what we have in the RFP is what our insurance is telling us that we should have. But the board reserves the right that if a contractor could only get a lower rate, then the board would assume that risk or responsibility in the event that if an accident or something happened and that contractor's insurance couldn't cover, that we would.
Well, if there's an accident and somebody's really injured, they sue everybody. And it doesn't matter if it's 1 million, 2 million, 10 million. They'll go after it all. So we did add some things in that will increase the cost, should increase the cost. The Boyle will have to increase their cost, and so will the other bus companies, unless they already had some of those things.
Correct, but I don't exactly know as
Okay.
far as what they're doing on other ends with their insurance. Some contractors could be holding higher rates, higher policies, I'm not sure.
That's probably one of the biggest transportation. The other question, last question I have is, Bill, you, Caleb, are pretty tight with Newville. They went out for busing changes. Did they fare out better or worse?
So I'm not as tightly aligned as I was. I was only able to read the newspaper and make some comments to my colleagues that
Tell me what they made out better.
I think it was a rough start for them as they transit. You know, so there's one of the advantages I think from what I heard was that, and it may have been a transition anyway, was running the actual routes. Like there's a lot of institutional knowledge of drivers who have been with the company for a while. They know how to run they know where the stops are. So I think there were growing pains with that as drivers learned their routes and you know, routes change, stops, you know, well, routes don't change necessarily as much as maybe stops change. You know, so I think there was some gaps in the institutional knowledge of so many new people coming in to ride buses or drive the buses. I recently heard that it's slowly getting better.
That was problematic from the.
Yeah, from the beginning, I think it was definitely a mess.
What about on the cost side? Did they save any money?
That I didn't look.
I think
I think it increased.
yes, about 200,000.
I'm not sure on the number, but
I think it increased almost 200,000 from my understanding. People I talked to.
Yeah,
And it went up quite a because Dice dropped it, retired, then they were left out a bid, and these big companies came in, and one of them dropped out and left the one company there, and they lowballed the price on the drivers. The lot drivers left, so they had to try and find drivers to bring up the cost.
Is that maybe why Newville had problems with the routing?
I don't think and that's part of it. But what the superintendent said is mostly the problem with that. That wasn't it. There was a cost on the other end.
yeah, and I think the general theme, if you've read the paper or been online, is just a shortage of drivers. Which, knock on whatever material this is, we've not experienced to the level that others have in the area. I'm not saying that that's not going to happen, but currently we are in a great spot, and our buses are running well, which is, I think, kudos to Randy and his team working with our contractors to make that happen. So, it's definitely something that, I'm not interested in breaking, but at the same time, it does check a box and gives the board more information to act on, potentially.
I also think Big Spring did this in the spring time, so I don't know if things were rushed during their negotiation period, and then it's a lot to.
They came down.
It routes over to a new company.
I'm pretty sure they came down to just one bidder.
Okay.
And they were stuck with that.
Right. So I mean, in this case, we're starting in September, and I think.
Yeah, and the other difference,
plenty more
Fred, is I think Deitch was going out of business, whereas we're not anticipating that with our current providers, where someone's just closing up shop, so. Anything else for Randy? I told him 10 to 15 minutes, so thanks, Randy. Next up is facility usage policy, and I'm going to turn that over to Mrs. DeLong.
So good evening, everybody. So in policy 707 is about facilities usage. And in each one of your places, I have our current facilities usage fee schedule. This was developed and implemented on February 27th of 2023. According to policy, we're supposed to review this on an annual basis, just to check and see if our fees are still in alignment, are they still what we want to be charging? And also, I wanted to revisit this policy and fee schedule. There we go. Because we have another new facility that we need to add to the fee schedule. So our new multipurpose stadium, scoreboard, lights, all of those things should be included in the facilities usage fee schedule. So I have a couple of things that I worked with an internal committee first with Mr. Barwin, Mr. Drawball, myself, and our athletic director, Ms. Venus, talking about the process that we use to reserve our facilities. And one of the things that we talked about is that we don't have any kind of contract currently in place. So people who want to use our facilities, they just reach out through our ticketing system called FMX and put in a request to reserve the facilities. So we really felt as a team that we wanted to kind of tighten that procedure a little bit better and have a contract in place. So we researched a bunch of the local school districts, pulled up a bunch of exemplar contracts, and kind of melded them all together to the contract that you see here. That's a draft. It's on the agenda manager, and I also have it here for you to review on the screen. So you can see really that when a group would want to use our facilities, they would first fill out this facilities rental contract. And really it just is a paper, or we could do an online form that they would fill out asking for information. You know, what are the dates that they want to use the facilities? What building are they requesting? And then just some language here that really protects the district by saying that, first of all, they have to have the liability insurance, which we already require that. And also that if anything gets broken, damaged, whatever, when the group is using our facilities, that it's incumbent upon them to get it fixed or to replace it. We don't currently have anything that says that right now. So if something gets broken, we have to fix it. Or if, you know, equipment gets lost or whatever, we're the ones replacing it. So just asking our partners, you know, who are using our facilities to be good stewards of our facilities and, you know, take responsibility if they break something and make sure and make it whole. So that's the first page. And then when you look to the additional pages here, you can see we're keeping everything else the same as what you see on this current facilities schedule. So we still have the 3 groups. There's no changes there. So our group 1 is our school district sponsored groups, our Greyhound Foundation, board approved organizations like PTO and booster clubs. Our group 2 is our nonprofit youth sports programs that feed into our secondary sports programs. Other nonprofits like Scouts that benefit our students, and then any other nonprofit community organizations that support our district mission or the community. And then group 3 is any group that's not a group 1 or group 2. So commercial groups or individuals or for-profit uses or people who live outside of the community or the school district who would want to try and use our facilities. So nothing there has changed at all, and we're not recommending any changes. But what we're looking at really is just adding this additional step of having a contract that people would fill out to request to use the facilities, turn it in to our director of operations, and then he would approve the requests, pull together the billing, let the group know how much it would cost, send them a bill, and then get it all set up and running for them. So you can just have a look. And then what I did then is I made, you know, to kind of streamline everything so that you didn't have a bunch of different documents, I put it all into one. So I took the charges that are already on our template here and just kind of listed them all on this sheet. But what we need to talk about are these things that I have in yellow. So we have some new spaces that currently are not included on the fee schedule. So this is where I'm looking for some feedback from the board. So you can see in yellow there, our internal committee made some recommendations, but we'd like to hear what you think about it. So the first space there is that lobby cafe. So group 1 would have no charge. That's what that NC stands for. Group 2 during the week currently, we Monday through Friday up until 11 o'clock at night, we don't have any charge for group 2 groups. And then if it would be on the weekends, the committee is suggesting $25 to rent that space. And if it is a group 3 and it's a for-profit group, we are suggesting $225 an hour. So you can see the prices for group 3 are exponentially higher, but they're for-profit groups that are outside of our community.
And just to be clear, we're not going to be charging boosters to use the cafe. I just wanted to be clear to everybody.
For group 1, they're no charge.
Yep.
So then we can move down to the stadium. So we divided the stadium into different pieces. So the stadium itself, if you want to use the lights, we would require some kind of a site manager to be there for a group to make sure that everything is working appropriately, that things are set up, that it gets locked down at the end of the event. We would want to pay someone to operate the scoreboard. And then also the use of the scoreboard, because to the electricity and all those kinds of things that it takes to go into the scoreboard. So these were suggestions. So again, group 1, which would have no charge. Group 2, during the week, we are suggesting that there would be charges there, $100. And then you'll notice that the lights and the site manager and the scoreboard operator cost the same for during the week or on the weekends. And same for the use of the scoreboard.
So I think the fundamental question is, where does the board want to be on cost for the stadium? Because there is going to be interest in outside groups using that who are associated with us. Is $100 the sweet spot? That's really kind of the discussion we need to have among the board.
Where did you get the numbers that you have?
We compared a bunch of other local districts as to how much they charge and kept it kind of in line with where they are.
The price dump, do they pay up front or we got to bill them?
What's that?
Do they pay up front or do we have to bill them?
According to the document, they have to pay like a deposit.
Okay.
And then we bill them after.
Okay, that's all I want.
So I'm a little embarrassed that we didn't already have a contract for using our facilities. So good job there. But I'm not, those prices look fine to me, but I'm not a very good capitalist. So I don't even know if.
Yeah, it's like I said, we did look at least 5 or 6 other local districts to see how much they charge.
And some of the ones with the new stadium, like Cumberland Valleys, because they had just built the new stadium as well. I mean, not as much.
The ones in the yellow, do we have to, or the school district have to provide those people, or are they supposed to provide, like this?
We would provide them.
Okay.
Which actually, that was my question, was like a scoreboard operator, and I don't know this answer, like how many people did we get trained in that stuff? Just because I think about, I'm all for community groups using our facilities, but we have to make sure that we have people that are.
Correct, and currently that's a relatively small number of people. We can expand it out, and I would maybe envision, putting people on as viable scoreboard operators who also might work with other groups.
What about still? Are we going to incorporate students in this usage of those things like the scoreboard or speaker or things like to get knowledge, to learn? A lot of them, they take classes for sports announcers and that kind of thing, maybe newspapers and that. Are we going to try and get students involved?
I mean, not in this. Not for this, Fred. I mean, unless there was a student who was trained and then got hired.
After we get them trained, are we going to get students trained?
So we currently haven't gotten that far, Fred.
Okay.
I know when we went with OES, that was a selling point was
training,
the ability to get students involved in the process. So, but we've not taken those steps.
We're going to. That's what I wanted.
But there's like a level of supervision involved with these jobs.
Yes. So, what we were thinking right now is that they would be adults.
Right.
Yeah, because this is like use outside of.
Right.
For outside events and stuff like that.
Don't we require, like, if I use the gym, that there has to be like a
custodian or an adult? Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's similar model.
Yes. Yeah. That's why we went the site manager.
Wonderful. You have more information than any of us do.
Yeah, I, as a superintendent, knowing how long it took us to get that stadium in place, we want to make sure that it's reserved for our use first, and it maintains itself, and there aren't issues. Certainly the taxpayers funded that; they should have access to it. So having somebody there who's making sure that things aren't going amok is smart in my mind.
Right. And the contract is really smart.
Yeah. And then as you look through the rest of the pages, then we have just a definition of the categories there that, I didn't change anything. The formatting looks different than what's currently on this other document. And then we have some information here about the security coverage requirements. which again is the same as what's already outlined. There's just a little summary of our district policy 707 that's on the next page. And then general provisions of use. So this is where we talk about the process. How do people sign up to, to use our facilities? And then the part about the payment, the liability insurance requirement. Oh, this is number 13. We need to talk about this one. If school is canceled due to inclement weather, all scheduled activities for that day will be canceled. That's what it currently says, but I didn't know. Sometimes I think we have made exceptions when
Depending on the weather pattern, if it's bad in the morning, but then it gets hot and rains and the parking lots are clear.
Well, just at administration's discretion. Change administration discretion, so superintendent can say yes and can say no.
That would also depend on the person that would have to open up those places on where they live. And while it might be clear here, it might not be clear where they're living.
Where the janitor is.
Right. So it gets a little complicated, people, outside groups put a lot of time and effort organizing like a single day event
So I'm
that they
saying
can't move.
you have the discretion saying yes or no.
Well, I mean, right now it says that, it's really the weekends that get me a little nervous, because a lot of the facilities are used on the weekends. If it snows on a weekend, gearing up our getting the sidewalks cleared and the lots plowed is can be a struggle.
But that's a separate issue than number 13, though. Right?
Right. Yeah.
If you got a $250,000 donor, are you going to still charge them the same amount?
Well, what group do they fall in?
Well, they would fall in, say, for group 3.
If they were group 3, but they're I think we'd have to talk about that as a board.
I'm just asking. I mean, you got somebody that throws you $250,000. Are you going to charge them to use the stadium? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking.
Yeah. Well, according to this, we would, but I don't know.
We can add a fourth column of donor use with a big.
I mean, it could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I mean, so you're looking for feedback on number 13, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I feel like I like Fred's idea that administration could make an exception if we needed to, and maybe we need to say, so that it doesn't all come to superintendent, that the building administrator could make that, so that, like, if it's James Bird, the James Bird principal or some administrator at James Bird could make that call, rather than everything having to go to the superintendent.
I think
But it also sounds like we need some language about whether or not the schools will do sidewalk clearing and plowing for a weekend event when they don't have to do it because there aren't students in the buildings. So like we almost need another 15 that says you're responsible for clearing sidewalks or whatever if you're using it when the sidewalks don't have to be cleared.
How about we just call it discretionary, and if they can get the sidewalks cleared for use and it works, they can use it.
I mean, that's pretty much how it's functioning now. Common sense.
You can come up with 100
communication.
different scenarios.
Yeah.
Discretion.
Doesn't get you away from liability if they don't clean it well and somebody slips and falls.
Yeah, we would want our
Well, you
folks
want
and our
responsible
people
for that,
to do that. But working in fees associated with that might be why, that costs our cost to do that if they still want to hold the event with administrative approval.
You said our cost or their cost?
Well, whatever we would have paid, whatever we pay to get our.
Whatever we pay to plow the snow.
Right.
That would be part
We're not
of
going to
their-
put an excise tax on that. Just what our costs are. We'll pass those on.
But that language needs to be in here somewhere, right?
We can add it into the number 13 here.
Yeah.
I made a note to
Okay.
myself, so, And then the last bits are just really about you know, what they can and can't use the facilities for, and making sure like there's no alcohol or other some substances, you know, not using food in places where it's not allowed. And then we have some other special things about the stadium and athletic field.
Who cleans up after them? They supposed to clean up after themselves at the stadium?
What's that? Well, we would have a site manager on site that can help with that too. So we can discuss that with the group that's using it.
That's my biggest concern, Fred, is,
They use it, they should clean it.
with youth sports, even people don't always treat the place well. You referee basketball. We definitely don't want messes in that stadium that aren't taken care of.
There's some good language in there. I've noticed too, having been to other schools, maybe I've already said this in these meetings, but and to their turf fields, we may need some signage about like, I don't know all the things you shouldn't do on a turf field, but I think
I'm with you for sure.
I think there's like no chewing gum, because I think
Right.
that causes problems.
The type of spikes you're allowed
The
to use.
spikes, yeah.
For sure. I mean, I think we were putting that up anyway.
Yeah,
It's
okay,
actually-
good.
Most of that stuff's actually at the bottom of this
Right.
document, but as for taking basically what's on that document onto signs is a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. No gum, no sunflower seeds, no metal cleats, no open flames, no corner flags, no golfing, vehicles,
That ends up,
no
yeah.
tents, chairs, staging material. So there's a lot of things on there.
Yeah, maybe not all of that needs to go on a
Yeah.
sign, but I think
Yeah, for sure.
the ones that a normal person who's coming to an event might run across.
Right.
Yeah, but this is all part of the contract, right? So anybody who signs up to use our facilities is going to get all this
Right.
information because it's part of the contract. So
I'm
they'll
also
have it.
just thinking of a fan coming to an event at our new stadium. We don't want them throwing their chewing gum out on the turf field.
For sure. All right. In the interest of time, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Barwin, who I think will be succinct, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, no real update from the last board meeting. State budget is still ongoing. Not really in panic mode yet, just because these are high revenue months for us with tax money coming in. So we can be okay without state money for right now. But I would say as we get into the winter months, we might need to take a closer look if a budget hasn't been passed.
When you mean so close, look, we had to borrow, we may have to borrow.
That's possible, but I think the district's okay right now with the fund balance that we have and the current tax revenue coming in, that we're okay for
You said we have an audit.
months.
When's the audit gonna be over? When will the audit?
They're there this week. Yeah.
Are there districts around that are hurting because of this?
Definitely, yeah, like smaller districts, districts that don't have much of a fund balance, this could be worrisome. I mean, everyone has tax revenue coming in July, August, and September. Those are your high months for tax revenue. But once that levels off, the state's not coming in with their subsidy money, the basic ed funding. It does get worrisome.
So I think just as an FYI for the board, come early November, December time, if this has not been resolved, then we'll need to come back with a plan for the board, of how we navigate it.
If
So-
if we have to draw down on fund balance, how far down
Well, those are,
can we actually go?
Well, you can go down. I mean,
Gonna be refunded.
again, it's not good because you're losing money on interest.
Right.
So, yeah, definitely a plan needs to be in place here in the next couple months if a budget isn't passed.
So you could see us drawing down to 5 million left in fund balance?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think it's going to get.
I don't think it will either.
There's like
I'm just trying to get
under a
it.
1% chance at that.
But you said we get that's it for 27 million from the state?
Right. Yeah. I mean, basic ed is north of 15 million.
Okay, moving on to facilities. Though we've had a discussion on usage, I wanted to lay out the timeline for the lights. It's there. Fred, I know you're excited. So week of September 15th, they're going to mobilize and install the light poles, foundations. The week of the 29th, they're going to assemble and erect the poles and do the electrical systems. And the week of the 6th, they're going to install the conduit from existing, that word, Qsite boxes to light poles. And so that week of October 6th is that time when we think, if all things go well, the lights might be on at the stadium. So I know I shared this with you in my update, but I wanted the public to see, what that timeline is for the lights. And the possibility exists around that last football game, if the decision is made, and the lights are ready, it might be a good way to transition to a new tradition. So not saying that we have to, but it's something that hopefully is a choice that we get to make. So any questions on that?
But the lights, no.
Okay. So that's all we have.
Oh, what about the punch list? You gave us a timeline. What's the punch list?
Yeah, so the punch list, K&W and ECI are talking about the mitigation of the track issues. My communication with ECI says they're going to be going hot and heavy on it starting September 15th. They expect to get that done by the end of the month, and that most of the construction issues punch list should be done by the end of September. So looking at the end of September to close out the high school project, middle school project, and the stadium.
Because it gets too cold, they can't replace that.
Yep,
track.
we've had numerous conversations around that issue, Fred.
We went through this once before with them.
Yeah.
What's the big deal that they couldn't be doing this already? But what it is what it is.
Hey, Bill, on the finishing the track, does that include all the vegetation that they're?
Yeah, so we're in planting season, September 1st. That's
basins and
part of what they're going to do is put those plantings in. Okay. All right, that concludes our what was supposed to be a short committee of the whole meeting.
Informational.
So the board's going to meet in executive session prior to the planning and action meeting. What?
I fell asleep.
It was the committee of the whole.
The third person.
All right.
I wasn't lying.
We're ready.
I do.
We're ready?
How are you late to your own meeting? You're already here. All right. Hello and welcome back to the Shippensburg Area School District Planning and Action Meeting. I do want to make note that the board did meet in executive session regarding contractual matters. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jim Bard,
Here.
Mr. Mike Carey,
Here.
Mr. Levi Kressler,
Here.
Dr. Nathan Goetz, Dr. Michael Lyman,
Here.
Mr. Kirk Noggle,
Here.
Mr. Fred Scott,
Here.
Mr. Darren Donovan,
Here.
and Mrs. Steph Eberly.
Here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As we begin our deliberations this evening, let us once again be reminded of our duty to represent all of the children of this school community, regardless of age, sex, race, or creed, and regardless of need or ability. This meeting is being live streamed and uploaded to the district YouTube channel. May we now have a moment of silence to reflect on our thoughts, plans, and actions on behalf of the students in the Shippensburg Area School District. And may we also have a moment of silence for Alma Golden, 1953 graduate of Shippensburg Area High School, and Karen Orendorf, graduate of the Shippensburg Area High School. Mr. August, are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
One very small one. Item 4, budget reports. June and July were removed from the original posted agenda.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Just go and make a motion to amend it.
Motion made by Mr. Scott, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Citizens' comments regarding agenda items? None. And our student representatives are not here tonight. We have the superintendent's report, Mr. August.
Thank you. I want to update the enrollment. Total enrollment of in-building students is 3,746. At the elementary levels, we have at the elementary levels, we have 1,142, including Keola students. At the intermediate school, we have 602, including Keola students. At the middle school, 882, including Keola students. And at the high school, 1,120, including our Keola students, for that grand total. Donation report. We'd like to recognize some individuals and entities that have given some monetary donations. To assist with the PBIS reward system at Nancy Grayson, the Nancy Grayson PTO donated $8,488.99 of books and a book vending machine, which I had the opportunity to see at their kickoff. It's pretty cool. The other donations were to the high school mini-thon, Chamberlain's Pest Control of $100, RAB or RAB Off-Road, $250, Shetron's Tire Service, $250, El Mariachi Mexican Restaurant, $500, The Inside Scoop, $75, and Three Dog Bakery, $100. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. The consent agenda, item 5A, we have the approval of minutes from the August 25th board meeting. We have the finance reports, the bills of payments, the financial reports, tax reports, budget reports. Item 4C is the agreement with the Central Penn Education Associates. 4D is the high school student council Instagram account. And then item 4E is the personnel for professional and support staff, which includes leave of absences, resignations, corrections, a termination and new appointments. Is there a motion to approve items 4A through 4E?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Donovan,
Second.
second by Mr. Carey. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 5A, the K-3 music curriculum. Administration recommends approval of the attached K-3 music curriculum. Is there a motion to approve item 5A?
Fred Scott, make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Scott, second.
Second.
Second by Dr. Lyman. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 5B, the spring 2026 music trip. The high school music department is requesting permission to travel to Virginia Beach for the biannual trip. The trip would occur over the March long weekend, which is March 13th through the 16th of 2026. The students should not be in school unless the district would have a snow makeup day on that Monday. Is there a motion to approve item 5B?
Move to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Bard,
Second.
second by Mr. Carey. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 5C is the addendum to the ESS Northeast Substitute Custodial Services. Administration is recommending approval of the attached addendum. Is there a motion to approve item 5C?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Donovan,
Second.
second by Mr. Noggle. Discussion?
Yeah, if we're gonna renew that, and we got on down here, we're putting additional custodian positions on, are we still gonna need them?
So these are substitutes, just like we contract with the ESS to get teacher substitutes. They also provide the service to get support staff substitutes as well. So they're apples and oranges, Jim. You know, this is just for substitutes.
Oh,
When
this
someone
is,
calls
this is
in
not
sick.
the cleaning people.
Yeah,
we
so if a custodian calls in sick, you know, we would have the ability to hire a substitute through ESS. And
Any additional comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 5D is the addendum for the interim administration services. Administration recommends approval of the attached addendum for the interim administration services. Is there a motion to approve 5D?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Donovan,
Second.
second by Mr. Carey. Discussion?
Yeah, what is it?
so with our transition in the student services, Fred, we have some people coming in as interim. You may remember Dr. Moyer. was the interim. So he's not coming back, but it's the same idea. We're contracting through ESS to bring some folks in to guide us through the transition. Okay?
What transition?
So until our new hires, we just hired a director last meeting, and then Dr. Polito over the summer. So they're being held on their contracts. So when they're free, until then, we would have no one. So we have two individuals coming in to support the department until they arrive.
Oh, they're not training them. They're just filling that spot. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we're filling the gap.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 5E is the SAESP Memorandum of Agreement for the Substitute Custodial Services. Administration is recommending approval of the memorandum between the Shippensburg School District and the support staff, the Support Professional Association regarding contracting for substitute custodial services. Is there a motion to approve 5E?
Fred's gonna make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Scott,
Second.
second by Mr. Donovan. Discussion?
So does this give us permission to do 5C?
No, this is when we hire outside supplemental.
Okay.
So there's a lot of custodial stuff on tonight, and it's hard to keep track of. But so when we use Ames, this is a refinement of that agreement.
Okay. Different group of substitutes?
Correct.
Okay.
So if we hire enough on 5F, if we hire enough custodians, we're not gonna need this one.
Correct. This is us to better define it with the association. So it's really kind of the rules of how we deploy those people that's included in that MOU. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 5F is additional custodial positions. The Maintenance and Custodial Department requests the addition of 3 full-time and 1 part-time custodian due to the additional of the square footage and understaffing at these buildings. These are unbudgeted positions, and the positions requested are as follows. The 2 full-time custodians at $142,986. The full-time custodian at the middle school is at $71,493, and the part-time custodian at SACE is $27,613. The total budget impact is $242,000. Is there a motion to approve 5F?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Donovan,
Fred Scott seconds.
second by Mr. Scott. Discussion.
Why is it, is there, you get paid more at what school you're at?
No.
So it's 71. You're getting-
But one's full-time, one's part-time.
Okay. All right, I understand that. Sorry about that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 5G is the petition for rule for the judicial sale. A tax claim bureau of Franklin County is recommending a tax parcel number to be placed on their upcoming judicial sale docket to hopefully be sold once again to start generating tax revenue on this parcel. Administration recommends approval of the attached petition for rule for the judicial sale. Is there a motion to approve item 5G?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Donovan,
Second.
second by Mr. Carey. Discussion?
Real quick, I feel like I've done this like 10 times with these things. Can you just tell me what exactly this is?
Yes,
Where it comes from? Thanks.
it comes from the county, so it comes from, I believe her name's Jody or Judy, I can't remember. But it comes from either Franklin or Cumberland. These both are from Franklin County.
Okay. And then,
But it's just to be able to sell the parcel so it can start generating tax
We make
revenue again. Right now, it's, right,
So without our
Nothing can be
approval,
done.
they can't sell it.
correct.
how does it end up sitting, like, how does it just go idle? Maybe that's something that's way outside.
I don't know if it's something with the previous owner happens and the county has to step in.
One we had before was a guy had a property and left it and didn't pay any taxes on it or nothing, so they can't do anything about it without our approval. So it's just an abandoned place, most likely.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The discussion agenda, item 6A, is the request to form a new pickleball club. 6B is the job description for the library support. Any questions on those 2 discussion items?
Can we be in the pickleball club?
Where they gonna play pickleball at?
I guess the same thing. We were thinking that it would be in the
I'm
gym.
assuming it's going to be in the gymnasium.
Yeah, you can play in the gym. Or the, well,
We go down to the park and work with them and fix up the tennis courts and the pickleball.
Citizens' comments regarding non-agenda items. Anybody? None? Okay, board comments. Mr. Noggle,
I have none.
Dr. Lyman,
I'm going to go with none.
okay. Mr. Bard,
This is the 8th.
Yeah, I seen we got, flag poles up.
Remember that.
Are they ready to be have flags on?
Sir said.
I just saw them today. There are a couple questions that came through about like,
They got lights? They got lights on
yeah, I
them?
mean, they're not ready. They're not ready yet.
Oh, they're not ready?
I mean, to put flags up because they're still.
And could you check, it's not really a comment, I guess it's a question. I've had a soccer player say something about the edge around the track and the turf field. There's a lip there that makes it very difficult for them to make a corner kick. 'Cause they gotta kind of jump over the lip. I guess there's a track that they tuck the turf in and maybe that's just normal.
Yeah, I can ask him.
I have no idea.
Do you know which corner it might
I
be?
think, no, I don't. All I know
Well,
is
there's only
there's
four.
only 4.
There's only 4. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Mr. Kressler,
Yeah, Leo's not here, so I can get my job back. Just real quick, the Athletic Hall of Fame ceremony was Friday night, the induction banquet at the high school, and then and they did the ceremony on the field at halftime of the game. I was there. It was a great event. It's the second year that the Hall of Fame committee like reformed. It was like a 5-year hiatus where there was no inductions. This year's class included 2 athletes and a former coach / school district employee. Included 2 doctors, believe it or not. So it's wonderful. And then a 44-year employee who was a coach and did a bunch of other different things here. Just running through some things here athletically. I see the girls soccer team won like 11-1 tonight. They were playing down at Memorial Park. Volleyball was up 2-0. The last I was able to see, it's probably over now, but I didn't see anything. Boys soccer, Gage Stosserman last week went over 100 career points. He's only the 6th boys soccer player in school history to do that. So congrats to him. Let's see what else. Here's a big one. The Mid-Penn Conference recently announced last week that we were one of 5 schools in the conference to not have any unsportsmanlike disqualifications. So think of like every varsity sport that you play through the 30 or 32 Mid-Penn schools. We were one of only 5 schools that didn't have a student athlete or coach who was ejected. So that's actually kind of sad that there wasn't more than that. But we were one of the 5 who were able to do it. So congrats to everyone working with all of our student athletes. Coach Warren Jones last week, I was there for that. Got his 300th career win as the boys soccer coach. He's been the soccer coach for like 30 years. I believe he actually founded. He was the first coach of our soccer team in school history. Has been the coach every year other than a year or 2 when he was deployed. And then he also used to coach the girls soccer team as well, and had, because they were in separate seasons back then, had 124 wins with the girls. So he's up to 424. That may not be accurate because he's won at least one more game since then. But he's well over 400 career wins. And finally, the golf team. Our golf team is having like superstar season. They're in first place in the division with 2 matches to go. They have a 1-game lead over Northern. And then individually, we've had some kids really play well. Ben Horgos shot a 73 last week at Eagles Crossing. He was the first Greyhound to win like the event of like all 6 or 7 schools that are there in 20 years. I think they call it medaling in golf. I hack some, but I don't have experience in it. But he's our first kid to actually win an event in like 20 years, only the 2nd time in school history. So golf team had a really good year last year. It looks like they're doing really well this year as well. That's it.
Mr. Carey,
No, ma'am.
Mr. Scott.
Is there can there be any consideration in starting the meetings at 6 and 7 instead of 7 and 8?
If it's the will of the board, we can start them whenever the board desires. Currently, we're advertised for these times.
Yeah.
And we just approved the schedule for the next year.
Things change. We can put another advertisement in and change it. I mean, to me, I know people get home, but our first hour is committee of the whole. We don't vote, but it doesn't push the people back for the regular meeting at 8 o'clock. It's just an idea. I just thought maybe we could consider it, the pros and cons of changing the time to 6 and 7 rather than 7 and 8.
You all can do what you want. I got 4 more meetings left. Dr. Lima, are you going to say something?
It doesn't, a lot of our evening classes, at least in my department, start at 7. And there's another block that goes from 5 to 7. So it would make it more difficult for me to attend if we started earlier. That's just me, though.
Yeah, I understand. But I'm just thinking about people, like we have real bad or real things to discuss. They go late, 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock. Some people have to get up and go work. I'm not one of them, but some do. I'm just thinking about that. Is there a reason why we can't start early?
I'm good most of the day, Fred.
I mean, we roll together. We roll the same. So it's just a thought. If there's some reasonable reason why we can't, then we don't. I don't want to leave you out, Mike. So
It would be tough for me to get back to, Fred,
all right.
just from the distance I travel.
If it's not feasible, not feasible. Life marches on. Just come when I want. Okay.
Mr. Donovan.
No, thank you.
I don't have anything either. Information date savers, September 22nd, we have the next Committee of the Whole Planning and Action meeting. September 25th is the Facilities Committee. September 10th is the Financial Aid Information Night at the high school, and September 17th is the College Information Night. September 17th, 2-hour early dismissal for students.